You find it difficult to remember names. Sometimes you forget why you entered a room. There are times when you intend to say something, but then it slips your mind. If you have noticed that your memory is not what it used to be, you are not alone, and you are not lost. After the age of 60, it is quite natural for some details to escape you. But the good news is that this does not mean you are on the path to oblivion. Not every memory loss is a sign of dementia, and certainly not. Often, it is caused by stress, monotony, lack of stimulation, or the fear that it might be something more serious. But today, I invite you to change this perspective. Memory, like muscles, can be trained, strengthened, expanded, and made more flexible. Yes, even after 60, 70, and beyond. Science proves that the brain is capable of creating new neural connections throughout life. This is excellent news. Therefore, in this video, I want to share with you some practical, simple, and effective mental exercises that will help keep your memory strong, vibrant, and active. These techniques can be performed at home without complicated tools. All that is required is a few minutes a day and the desire not to succumb to the passage of time. It does not matter if you are 65 or older. If you are still here, if you are interested in learning and taking care of your mind, then you are exactly where you need to be. Stay until the end of the video, as each exercise is designed to activate different parts of your memory: visual, spatial, verbal, emotional, and logical. At the end, I will suggest a simple routine to integrate them into your daily life without stress and overwhelm. But before we begin, I would like to learn a little about you. Please write in the comments your age and where you are watching this video from. I would be happy to know more about you. Now let's move on to the first step in caring for your memory. Your mind will thank you today. Many people think that memory loss is an inevitable part of aging. They say it is normal. You are no longer young. They remind you that your mind is not what it used to be, and over time, you start to believe it. But let me tell you something that can completely change your perception. Memory does not fade. It can be activated. Yes, it is true that with age, the body and brain change. But that does not mean you have to accept it. In fact, many simply stop training their minds. And like muscles, if it is not used, it weakens. Think about it. If you do not walk for several weeks, your legs become heavy. If you do not exercise for months, your muscles lose strength. The mind works similarly. What is not stimulated fades away. What is not used atrophies. And what most often weakens memory after 60? Routine. Constantly performing the same actions without thinking. Walking the same routes. Having identical conversations. Repeating the same actions. Stress has a significant impact, exhausting our mental resources. Sleep deprivation, loneliness, and especially the false belief that it is too late for change. But let me tell you, it is never too late to start retraining your mind. Never. Allow me to share a story with you. I met a woman named Amalia through this channel. She is 78 years old. During the pandemic, she began to forget more often. She felt that her mind was not as sharp as it used to be. Her children were worried, and so was she. But one day, she decided to start with simple tasks. Crosswords, memory games, daily reading, walks while mentally repeating her shopping list. Small but regular actions. After a few weeks, she felt changes within herself. Her mind became clearer, and she remembered everyday things more quickly. The secret is that she did nothing magical. She simply began to actively use her intellect again. Today, I want to encourage you to do the same. It does not matter if you have felt sluggish, distracted, or forgetful for several years. Memory does not disappear. It can be reactivated, and you are capable of doing this. In the next part, I will talk about the first mental exercise, one of the most effective for improving attention and focus, and even enhancing memory. See you there. So let's begin with the first mental exercise. It is one of the simplest, yet most significant, for strengthening visual memory and concentration. This exercise is called visualization using everyday objects. To perform it, you will only need a table, 5 objects, and a few minutes of your time. Nothing more is required. Here is how it works. First, choose 5 ordinary objects that are nearby. This could be a cup, a spoon, keys, a pen, and a napkin, for example. Place them on the table separately from each other so that you can see them clearly. Then, look at them for 30 seconds. Not just glancing, but paying close attention. Notice the colors, shapes, sizes, and details. Now close your eyes and try to recall how they were arranged on the table. Visualize each object. Where was the spoon? On the right or the left? What color was the cup? Were the keys next to the pen or closer to the napkin? The task is not just to remember the objects, but to mentally recreate the entire scene. This simple exercise activates the visual cortex of the brain, which is responsible for processing images, and engages attention, concentration, and spatial memory. Want to make it more challenging? After visualizing the 5 objects, try to name them in reverse order, or even better, remove one of the objects without looking and try to determine what is missing. You can even try to describe them to another person without opening your eyes. And most importantly, do this calmly, without rushing. Repeat it as many times as you wish. The more you practice, the clearer and sharper your memory becomes, as if your mind is being clarified. Let me tell you about Don Elhin, a channel subscriber who is 83 years old. Every evening, while enjoying a cup of tea, he would lay out 5 items on the kitchen table. He would gaze at them for about a minute, then close his eyes and try to remember them in detail. After 2 weeks, he shared with us, "I used to go to the store and forget what I needed to buy. Now I remember the list in my head and forget nothing." This is exactly what we aim to achieve with this exercise, to make your mind lively, attentive, and ready for everyday small challenges. Now that you have mastered this initial exercise, let's move on to the second one. It stimulates your verbal memory and helps you remember words, names, and conversations better. I will explain this in the next part. Let's proceed to the second exercise. It is particularly useful as it activates the area of the brain that often loses its activity with age, the hippocampus, the region responsible for orientation, spatial memory, and mental navigation. This exercise is called the memory map, and it is simpler than it may seem. You need to mentally walk through a well-known place. This could be your home, a neighborhood, or even the route you took to work or school in your youth. Imagine that you are standing at the entrance to this place. If it is your home, think about what is to the right of the entrance, how many steps it takes to get to the hall, the color of the curtains, where the furniture is located, and what items are on the table or hanging on the walls. Slowly walk through this place, visualizing every detail. Do not just pass by. Linger at each spot for a few seconds. You are creating a precise image of what is on the shelf in the hallway. How many doors are in the bathroom? Which window faces the yard? This exercise directly stimulates your visual and spatial memory, as well as strengthens attention and concentration. Want a more challenging level? After your mental walkthrough, try to draw this place without peeking. Or better yet, describe it in detail to another person. Imagine you are giving them directions on how to get from the hall to the kitchen using only your words. Do this for several minutes each day. Change the mental scenarios. One day, focus on your childhood home. Another day on the street where you played as a child. The more varied the exercise, the stronger the stimulus for your brain. Do you know what is interesting? Research has shown that people who practiced such mental navigation improved their orientation in new spaces, reacted more quickly to unexpected situations, and had a lower risk of cognitive impairments compared to those who did not. And as usual, I will share a real case. Maria del Carmen, 75 years old, wrote to me a few months ago that she often got lost even in her own home. She started doing this exercise every morning before breakfast, closing her eyes and mentally walking through her neighborhood as if she were going to the market. After a few weeks, her confidence in navigating the city increased, and the most remarkable thing is that she began to feel less insecure and more independent. Spatial memory is also a form of freedom. Such exercises, even if they seem simple, help us remain independent for longer. Would you like to give it a try? Imagine in your mind your home or a place that brings you pleasant memories. Next, we will move on to the third exercise, which is perfect for improving verbal memory and helps you remember the name of that acquaintance. So let's proceed to the third exercise. It targets a special part of our consciousness, developing the ability to associate ideas, connect concepts, and strengthen verbal memory. This exercise is called word chain. Despite its apparent simplicity, it is one of the most effective methods for strengthening the neural connections responsible for language and long-term memory. Let me explain how it works. Think of any word, for example, sun. What comes to mind when you think of the sun? Perhaps heat. From there, you can move to summer, then to beach, followed by sand, and possibly finish with castle. It is important that you connect one word to another, as if you are pulling on a string, allowing each idea to lead you to the next. What seems so simple actually activates deep neural networks. It is like mental training for your vocabulary, imagination, and mental flexibility. There are many ways to perform this exercise. A more challenging variation is to use abstract words. For example, take the word hope. What do you associate it with? Perhaps light, children, projects, or new beginnings. There are no right or wrong answers here. The main thing is to keep your mind moving, building bridges between ideas. Another useful method is to use proper names. If you find it difficult to remember people's names, this exercise can be beneficial. Let's say you know someone named Rose. You can imagine a red rose. This image might remind you of a dress you wore at a special event, and that, in turn, might remind you of the place where you met that person. These little mental anchors are very effective. The more associations you create, the easier it is for information to be stored in long-term memory. Let me give you a real-life example. Carlos, a 69-year-old man, had difficulty remembering names in his book club. He started doing this exercise daily with the names he struggled with. He assigned each name an association with a color, an object, or a song that came to mind when he heard the name. Over time, he began to remember not only the names, but also details of their conversations. This strengthened not only his memory, but also his relationships. After all, memory is also about attachment. Remembering a person by name means saying, "I see you, I value you, you are important to me." So, I encourage you to give it a try. Take any word and create your own chain. Do this out loud or write it down if that is more convenient. You can do this with a grandchild, partner, or friend. You will notice how gradually your thoughts become clearer. Ideas start to connect faster, and your memory retains what used to slip away. Are you ready for the next step? In the next part, I will present an exercise that combines attention, visual memory, and strategic thinking, and performing it is extremely engaging. Let's begin. This exercise is as effective as it is simple. You will not need a pencil, paper, or technology, just 1 minute of silence before sleep. It is called reverse recall, and its goal is to develop your episodic memory. That is, your memory of daily events. What did you do this morning? Who did you interact with? What did you eat? What did you see? What emotions did you feel? This part of memory, if not trained, fades over time, like dreams after waking up. The process is very simple. Lying in bed, with the lights off before sleep, close your eyes and mentally rewind the day backward, but in reverse order. Start from the moment you lay down in bed. What did you do before that? Perhaps you brushed your teeth. What kind of toothpaste was it? Mint or herbal? Did you use warm or cold water? Was there background noise? Did you hear the television on? Then continue to rewind. You had dinner. What did you eat? How did it taste? Who were you with? What emotions did you experience? Was there a smell in the kitchen? Was the light on in the dining room? Continue back to lunch, the morning, breakfast, to the moment when you first opened your eyes that day. It is not necessary to remember everything in detail, but with each day of practice, you will see more scenes, smells, faces, and emotions. This exercise activates a complex neural network that connects episodic memory with feelings. And by performing it in reverse order, you give your brain an additional task. You break the routine, step out of automatic mode, and begin to process events with greater attention. And yes, this brings specific benefits. First, it improves concentration. Second, it strengthens both short-term and long-term memory. Third, it helps solidify the memories of the day, which enhances sleep quality and reduces the feeling of not remembering anything. Let me tell you a story. Julian, a 72-year-old man, shared that he started doing this exercise every night after watching one of our videos. At first, he could only recall a few moments from the end of the day, but after 2 weeks, he was already vividly reliving his day, including names, places, and sensations. Interestingly, he notes that he sleeps better, sees more dreams, and remembers them after waking up. His consciousness, he says, is clearer than ever. Try this tonight. It will take no more than 5 minutes. Just you, your memory, and the silence of the night. If you decide to try it, let me know in the comments tomorrow how far you were able to go. In the next part, we will have the 5th and final exercise. It combines emotions, memory, and creativity, and you will be surprised. There is one secret that you are not told about memory. The essence is not only to remember what is already known, but also to maintain a lively interest in the unknown. As soon as a person stops learning, their mind gradually begins to dull. However, if you take even small daily steps toward new knowledge, it is like a breath of fresh air for the brain. This practice is called daily micro-learning. The key word here is micro. There is no need to spend hours poring over textbooks or memorizing long lists. Just choose something new every day. It could be a word in a foreign language, the capital of a distant country, the name of a flower you noticed on the street, a proverb, a recipe, a song, or even mastering an application on your phone that you have avoided out of fear of not understanding it. Learning promotes neuroplasticity, and regardless of age, this ability remains with us. The brain, just like the body, responds to use, and every time you present it with a new challenge, it creates new connections. Let me share a real story. Doña Elisa, 77 years old, had never been close to technology and always thought that phones were for the young. However, One day her granddaughter asked her to learn how to use WhatsApp to send photos. At first, Elisa felt insecure and awkward, but every day she set a goal to learn something new about the application. One day she learned how to read a message, another day how to reply, and then how to send photos. Gradually, at her own pace, she mastered this tool. Now she not only communicates with her family, but also records voice messages, sends emojis, and even makes video calls. The most delightful part for her was that it was not just about mastering WhatsApp. It was the discovery that she was still capable of learning. She admitted that it restored to her what she had lost many years ago: self-confidence. That is the magic of daily learning. It is not about accumulating information, but about keeping the mind open and alert. So, when this video ends, set a goal to learn something in the next 5 minutes. Find a word, an interesting fact, or a recipe. It does not matter what you choose. The important thing is to keep choosing, because by maintaining curiosity, memory is not only strengthened, but also refreshed. Now that you know 5 exercises, you might be wondering how to apply them in everyday life without overwhelming yourself. The answer is simpler than it seems. There is no need to overhaul your entire routine or dedicate hours each day to this. Just 5 minutes a day, and you will start to notice real changes in your mental activity. Here is a simple plan. On Monday, you do the first exercise, a list without repetitions. On Tuesday, you create a mind map of a familiar place. On Wednesday, you do the word chain exercise. On Thursday, before bed, you mentally rewind your day. On Friday, you choose a new micro-learning topic. If you want, you can repeat your favorite exercises on the weekends. That's it. 1 exercise a day for 5 minutes is quite enough. The key is not to strive for perfection, but to do it consistently. And here is what many overlook. These exercises can be incorporated into daily activities. While cooking, try to create word chains. When you walk around the house or stroll through the neighborhood, visualize a mental map. Before going to bed, try to recall the events of the day in reverse order, and during your morning coffee, learn a new word or create a small mental list. The key is not to increase the load, but to turn everyday actions into opportunities for mental training. And with each passing day, you will notice progress. It will become easier to remember names and find the right words that used to be on the tip of your tongue. You will notice that it is easier to concentrate on tasks, and minor forgetfulness will no longer irritate you. The main thing to remember is that you should not strive for perfection. Memory does not require pressure. It needs care, stimulation, and consistency. Just as a plant does not grow from liters of water at once, memory develops from small daily nurturing. Do not worry if you occasionally forget to practice. Just continue the next day and keep moving forward. In the next part, we will discuss how to maintain motivation in the long term and how to avoid common mistakes that cause many to give up. So far, we have talked about mental exercises, but equally important is what your memory is based on. After all, no matter how much you train daily, if your lifestyle is full of habits that weaken the brain, your efforts will be in vain. Imagine it like a garden. You may have great seeds, but without sunlight, without watering, and if the soil is dry, nothing will grow. Let's discuss the factors that strengthen your memory and those that gradually weaken it without you noticing. Let's start with what strengthens it. The first is adequate sleep. Sleep is not just rest. During sleep, the brain organizes memories, consolidates what has been learned, and clears out the unnecessary. Chronic sleep deprivation, when you sleep less than 7 hours a day, directly affects your ability to remember, think, and concentrate. The second is physical activity: walking, stretching, climbing stairs. Any light or moderate physical activity improves blood circulation, and better blood circulation means more oxygen for the brain. Studies show that physically active people maintain mental agility better as they age. The third is social interaction with others. Socialization is one of the best mental exercises. A good conversation stimulates memory, language, attention, and emotions. Calling a friend, sharing a story, or simply listening attentively is also a workout for the mind. The fourth is proper nutrition. What you eat also nourishes the brain. Fruits, vegetables, fatty fish like salmon, nuts, olive oil, and plenty of water. If possible, reduce sugar, ultra-processed foods, and excess salt. Now let's talk about what weakens memory. The first is stress. Constant worry harms the hippocampus, a crucial part of the brain for memory retention. Prolonged stress is like a thick fog that clouds the mind and slows down thought processes. And now, the second aspect. Isolation. Prolonged periods of solitude without communication and stimulation lead to a decrease in mental activity. Over time, this lack of activity becomes a slowdown. The third point is mental and physical passivity. If you spend an entire day without movement, without reading, without learning something new, your brain sinks into a state of prolonged rest. And as is well known, what is not used gradually atrophies. The fourth aspect is excessive multitasking. Constantly switching between tasks, without true concentration fragments attention into pieces. If you do not focus, it becomes difficult to remember anything later. All of this is quite simple. So what can you do? Start small. Drink more water. Take a walk in the morning or evening. Turn off screens an hour before bedtime. Call someone you have not seen in a while. Choose fruit instead of sweets. Take deep breaths when you feel tense. Remember, it is not about perfection, but about small, consistent changes. Your memory is a reflection of how you care for your body, emotions, and environment. Take care of them, and your mind will thank you. In the next part, we will offer practical guidance. What can you do this week to start without unnecessary complications? After all, knowledge is important, but action is even more important. Reaching 60, 70, or even 80 years is not the end for memory. It is simply a new chapter when you need to care for it more than ever. Memory does not disappear suddenly. It is gradually lost, but it can be regained through persistent attention and care. Your brain has not given up. It is waiting for you to challenge it, stimulate it, and bring it back to life. You have learned about the appetite for simple daily exercises available to everyone, and how just a few minutes a day can maintain mental activity. But besides exercises, I want you to remember one thought. Your memory can still improve. Your ability to remember, reflect, and learn is alive. It does not matter if you are 62, 74, or 89. Your mind responds to activity just like muscles and the heart do. And the fact that you are watching this video already proves that you care. So do not leave this as just words. Start today. Create a mind map. Play with words. Rewind your day in your memory. But most importantly, believe in your abilities. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching until the end. Thank you for taking care of yourself, for being interested in your mental well-being, and for not giving up. Now tell me, which of these exercises will you try first? Write in the comments. I would love to know. If you know someone who has been forgetting little things lately, share this video with them. They may not say it, but they need it. And perhaps this small gesture will change their day or even their life. That's all for today. Thank you for your time. See you in the next video.